Today, we're in a controlled environment. It's not raining. That's the one good thing about an indoor range. We have up to 100 yards here, which is all we need for a good deer rifle. Bill Balda, tell us what you do for the department.
I am the supervisor for our hunter education program.
You've got some military background as well, correct?
I was on active duty and in the National Guard, and I was armor officer, a cavalry officer, but I was also involved with marksmanship. I was the Kentucky Guard State Marksmanship Coordinator. You
train drill instructors, correct? Tell me how that works.
A couple times a year for about a week at a time, I go to an Army post. We go out to what's called a known distance range, and we shoot from 100 to 600 yards with issue M16s.
I have not had my rifle out since last year. Where would you suggest somebody starts?
Actually, the first thing I would suggest is once they take the rifle out of the case, open the action physically and visually inspect the chamber, make sure there are no rounds in the chamber or the magazine. Once you've done that, I check the rifle. I pull out my handy dandy screwdriver and I check the action screws so that the action and barrel are bedded to the stock tightly. If they're not, you can't zero it. It's going to shake a little bit. You have a wood stock, and in the humidity in Kentucky, as you know, it gets real high and then it gets low. Wood swells and it shrinks in response to that humidity. And as it does that, the screws will back out on some rifles. So check that, make sure it's tight. If you have the tools you need, make sure that your scope is tight in the rings and your mount is tight to the rifle.
Okay. Most people typically take their gun out and just shoot it. So very important things to remember right there.
And I've learned it through practical experience. There have been times when I did the same thing. Why won't this gun zero? Why is it all over? Well, let's check some stuff. If I had checked those screws first, I'd saved a lot of ammo. So
everything's good to go. All our screws are tight. Then what? Yardage-wise, what would you do?
With the high-powered cartridges like 25-06 and 243s and 30-06s, you can sight them in at 100 yards, and anywhere out to 100 yards, you can hold dead on and it will be on. Because what you're shooting at is about 8 or 10 inch vital area on the deer. That's what you need to be in. If it's sighted in for someone else, you can't do that. You don't know where that round's gonna go. You need to shoot your rifle and zero your rifle before you take it to the woods.
Hey, Bill would eat me alive if I didn't have my eyes and my
glasses and hearing protection.
My shooting style, because of the way that I have to shoot off of this shoulder, is really different. And most people, I sighted this one in for my wife. How many inches am I up and left?
You were about 8 and 8.
Yeah. So that shows how don't trust somebody else's sighting in. Coming down, but it's still way up there.
Okay. Where we're at right now is it's on black at 50. We can go to 100 now and finish sighting in. I'd say take a break. And what we'll do is we'll let this cool down and then shoot another one cold at it.
What's the basics of pulling a shot off?
You want to shoot a good shot with every round, whether you're zeroing or you're shooting at a deer or a squirrel. And it's really the simplest way to remember to do that is there's 3 things that are fundamental to shooting a good shot: sight alignment, trigger control, and follow through. If you're using iron sights, any type of iron sights, you need to put that front sight in the middle of the rear sight and focus on the front sight, and then line it up with your target. If you're using a scope, it's really easy. You put the crosshairs on the target where you want the bullet to go. The trigger control is nothing more than being smooth with a trigger pull. You don't want to milk the trigger. You don't want to squeeze your whole hand as you're pulling the trigger. You just want your finger to move. To facilitate that, a good firm grip, like a firm handshake, and pull that rifle into your shoulder, will help you do just that. Just pull that one finger, smooth and straight to the rear. Follow through is just watching the crosshairs or the front sight come back to the target or where it was. Another thing you need to keep in mind, being able to hit the target you intend to is a safety consideration.
Sure.
The part of being safe is knowing your target and what's beyond it. We will cut a lot of hunting incidents by people paying attention to that. It's been a while since we shot the rifle. The barrel is cold now. It has cooled down, and that's a good thing. You really want to zero your rifle in the minimum number of rounds possible, because when you go hunting, you're only going to shoot 1 or 2 or 3 rounds. So a cold barrel zero is really what you're looking for. Down 4, and then left 2.
Left 2.
And leave it. It's
I'm good.
good.
I'm good. Barry, thanks for letting us shoot today. Great place
Pleasure.
you have here. And I want you to follow up. What does a fella need to do, or a gal, before they ever go into the woods?
Well, the most important thing, obviously, is check your equipment, make sure your equipment works, is what we've been talking about today. But practice the way you shoot. Because what we want is if we're going to go hunting, we want to make sure we get a good shot and, frankly, just a one-shot kill and take care of the animal immediately.
And you know what? You owe it to yourself, you owe it to the animal. And you know, if you do it right, it's very humane, it's very quick. Plus, most of us have a limited amount of time that we can hunt. You don't want to spend the better part of that time looking for a downed animal, because that can be very frustrating.
Time and money.
Very good. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure.